HTML error body font family to Homa Verdana Arial sans serif, margin 0 auto, width 35 span display none error occurred. Sorry thepigi wara lookin for is currently unavailable. Please try again later. Var underscore hasync equals underscore hasync dot push, histats dot start, 1,4561773,0,0,0,0,0,0,000,000, underscore hasync dot push, histats dot facei, 1, underscore hasync dot push, histats dot track underscore hits, function, vars equals document dot createlment, script, s dot type equals text slash javascript s dot async equals 0 s dot src equals // s10.histats.com/js15 underscore s dot js comma document dot get elements batag name head 0 document dot get elements batag name body 0 dot append child s. HTML error body font family to Homa Verdana Arial sans serif, margin 0 auto, width 35 span display none error occurred. Sorry thepigi wara lookin for is currently unavailable. Please try again later. Var underscore hasync equals underscore hasync dot push, histats dot start, 1,4561773,0,0,0,0,0,0,0,0,0,0,0,0,000, underscore hasync dot push, histats dot facei, 1, underscore hasync dot push, histats dot track underscore hits, function, vars equals document dot createlment, script, s dot type equals text slash javascript s dot async equals 0 s dot src equals // s10.histats.com/js15 underscore s dot js comma document dot get elements batag name head 0 document dot get elements batag name body 0 dot append child s. I am willing. Yuan Tung said easily. Willing. Seeing Lixuan gritted his teeth and squeezed out these 3 words. Ask the groom to exchange rings. The master of ceremonies said concisely. Yuan Tung took out the ring, took Seeing Lixuan's hand, slipped it on, and then stretched out his hand, hurry up. Seeing Lixuan put it on him reluctantly. Seeing the black face of a certain groom, the master of ceremonies hesitated several times before he dared to say, the groom can kiss each other now. Yuan Tung looked at Seeing Lixuan. Seeing Lixuan was motionless, obviously not cooperative. Yuan Tung was not annoyed either. She put her arms around Seeing Lixuan's neck on tiptoe, and kissed him proactively. Resisting Seeing Lixuan's refusal, he insisted on kissing for 3 seconds before letting go. After kissing, he whispered, "Honey, happy wedding." After finishing speaking, Yuan Tung couldn't help being happy. It was like a dream, and he got married. Maybe it was really a dream. When he woke up, he was still the same weak and sickly person. The master of ceremonies, who had been holding a heart, wiped the sweat from his forehead. Fortunately, it was finally over smoothly. Then the two stepped off the stage together and went to the back lounge to have a quick bite to eat before going to toast the guests. Seeing Lixuan was in a bad mood, but he would not refuse anyone who offered a toast to him. Yuan Tung was originally in poor health, he had only tasted wine, but never drank too much, and he didn't know how much he could drink. There are many guests invited to the wedding, this is Yu Qingnian's request, the wedding must be held in a big way. Yu Qingnian has always planned to enter the real estate industry to get a share. Everyone wants to eat cakes, it's not that easy. Yu Qingnian can't squeeze into that circle at all, and the Xing family occupied half of the real estate industry with their unique vision in the early years. Xing and Yu are married together, and the wedding is even more grand, which will undoubtedly improve the status of the Yu family in the Zhongcheng business district. Congratulations, Boss Yu, your nephew is really handsome, and he and Master Xing are a godsend. Yeah, Boss Yu raised the children well. Congratulations, congratulations. Hearing the compliments from the people around him, Yu Qingnian smiled and clinked glasses with them, who would dare not give him face now. During the toast, he drank wine mixed with most of the water, and Yu Antung didn't feel any discomfort after the toast. It seems that I drink well. Although it was mixed with water, I drank a lot after serving so many tables. Yu Antung thought badly. After toasting, the two returned to the separate box of the Xing family. A middle-aged woman dressed luxuriously stepped forward and said cordially, "Have you finished toasting? Tong Tong, come and sit down." Yu Antung knew that this person was Xing Lixuan's mother, and he even offered tea at the wedding ceremony. Not proficiently calling out dad and mom to Xing's parents, Yu Antung was dragged to an old lady by Xing's mother. "Tong Tong, call grandma." The old lady's spirit is not very good, but her eyes seem to be able to see into people's hearts. Although she is old, she can vaguely see the demeanor of her youth. The two deep law lines on her face make her look stern and difficult to get along with. Although she is thin and small, Yu Antung, who has read the book, knows that this little old lady is the one who really has the right to speak in the Xing family. Xian's marriage was also facilitated by him. Yu Antung looked around for a while, and obediently called out, "Grandma is good." "Yes." The old lady Xing responded, and handed Yu Antung a red envelope. "Good boy, live a good life with Li Xian from now on." It was obvious that she forced the marriage to death, but the strange thing is that the old lady didn't show much happiness on her face. "Yes, thank you grandma." Yu Antung looked at the old lady again when receiving the red envelope. If he was not mistaken, the old lady looked at him with a hint of pickiness and dissatisfaction. Yu Antung pouted in her heart, "Since she is so dissatisfied, why do you insist on forcing your precious grandson to marry me?" Xing Lixuan also paid attention to the expression of the old lady, and had the same question as Yu Antung in his heart. Xing Lixuan frowned and said to the old lady, "I don't have anything else to do, so I'll go back and rest first." He was really unhappy today, and his tone towards his always respectful grandma was a little offended. Knowing that Xing Lixuan was in a bad mood, the old lady didn't say much. "You drank a lot of wine, let the driver take you, Xiao Yu, take care of him." It happened that he was born with few relatives and was not used to dealing with these people. Yu Antung responded and quickly followed Xing Lixuan's long legs. Xing Lixuan doesn't live in the Xing family's old house, he lives in a community close to the company. The place where the wedding was held was a 30-minute drive from Xing Lixuan's residence. As soon as he got into the car, Xing Lixuan hugged his shoulders and closed his eyes, not going to talk to Yu Antung who was beside him. Yu Antung felt a little dizzy when he was drunk, and he didn't say anything along the way. When he got to the place, Xing Lixuan got out of the car first, walked 2 steps but no one followed. Although he didn't like Yu Antung, since he was married, he wouldn't leave him alone. Turning back, the person who opened the car door on Yu Antung's side unexpectedly fell asleep. "Hey, wake up!" Leaning forward and shaking Yu Antung, Xing Lixuan's tone was impatient. He felt that all the self-cultivation he had cultivated in these years would be thrown away today. Yu Antung opened his eyes in a daze, and saw Xing Lixuan approaching Jun Yan. He only thought he was dreaming. Xing Lixuan said, "Get out of the car when you wake up." Upon hearing this, Yu Antung put his arms around Xing Lixuan's neck, closed his eyes. "I'm not awake, I want my husband to hug me." Unprepared, Xing Lixuan was pulled by Yu Antung like this, and his whole body lost his balance and threw himself on Yu Antung. The two fell into the back seat of the car. Yu Antung giggled, "Honey, you are so enthusiastic." Xing Lixuan was shocked by his nonsense, hurriedly covered his mouth, looked at the driver in front of him numbly, felt that his face was about to be humiliated, and said angrily, "What are you yelling?" Yu Antung slowly opened his eyes, letting go of himself in the dream, sticking out his tongue to lick Xing Lixuan's palm. "You!" Xing Lixuan suddenly withdrew his hand from the hot and humid touch, and stared at Yu Antung in disbelief. There was no obstacle on her mouth. Yu Antung said, "Husband, give me a hug." "Damn it! Shut up! Seeing Lixuan cursed in a low voice. Fearing that the drunk would talk nonsense again, Seeing Lixuan half supported and half carried him out of the car, and then asked the driver to leave quickly. Seeing Lixuan breathed a sigh of relief after the driver left, and helped Yu Antung wait for the elevator. The drunk Yu Antung was not honest at all. He saw his pair of watery and affectionate Danfan eyes slightly squinted at the moment, looking at Seeing Lixuan with sparkling eyes, and softly called out, "Husband!" After shouting, he buried his face in Seeing Lixuan's arms, looking embarrassed. Fuck! Seeing Lixuan was struck by the thunder and felt uncomfortable all over. The heat on Yu Antung's face in his arms seemed to burn him through the thin summer clothes, and he felt a strange feeling in his chest. He couldn't help but swear. Who would have thought that his words would poke a hornet's nest? When Yu Antung heard that word, she was excited and twitched immediately. "Husband, you are good or bad? To put it so bluntly, I have to kiss before I give it to you." As he spoke, he pouted and wanted to kiss. The elevator door opened, and a resident went downstairs. A middle-aged couple got out of the elevator. They were caught off guard when they saw the scene of two men hugging each other. When the middle-aged couple came out, Seeing Lixuan helped Yu Antung into the elevator with a throbbing vein in his head. The moment the elevator closed, Seeing Lixuan clearly heard the middle-aged couple walking away say, "The young people of today are really..." For a moment, Seeing Lixuan really wanted to leave Yu Antung alone. He shouldn't have turned back just now. Seeing Lixuan looked up at the elevator floor lights, hoping to get home soon. Yu Antung still didn't know his situation. Seeing Lixuan's face was very close to him, and he couldn't hold back. Kissed on tiptoe. Pop chirp, especially loud in the elevator. Seeing Lixuan, who had never been kissed before, suddenly turned red in his ears, and was almost driven crazy. "What the are you trying to do?" After finally arriving home, Seeing Lixuan went straight to the bedroom, and threw Yu Antung onto the bed full of red wedding bedding. Seeing Lixuan sat down on the side of the bed, feeling exhausted after running 10 kilometers. Physically and mentally exhausted, alcohol was surging, coupled with the fact that he got up early today, and the turbulent drowsiness hit him. Seeing Lixuan planned to get up to wash up and then rest. He got up, didn't get up. Turning around to see, Yu Antung was holding on to the hem of his clothes. Yu Antung also started to feel drowsy as soon as he touched the bed, but he still remembered holding on to Seeing Lixuan tightly, and unconsciously murmured, "Husband, kiss." Seeing that he was really drunk, Seeing Lixuan asked tentatively, "How did you convince my grandma to let you marry me?" This you refer to Yu Antung and Yu Qingnian. Seeing Lixuan really couldn't figure out what the old lady was thinking. She insisted on forcing him to marry a man who could only see his face. The old lady is not a messy and unreasonable person. Although he started to urge him to talk about friends and get married 2 years ago after he officially started working in the company, she just likes to talk a few words like many old people, urging you to take care of it. He was annoyed by the nagging, so he directly told his family that he liked men, and there was no need to expect him to marry a wife and have children. Even though it was difficult for the family to accept it, they slowly accepted it. The old lady was sad for a while, but after all she loved him and did not urge him to get married anymore. Not long ago, the old lady had a physical examination and found out that her lung cancer was at an advanced stage, and the doctor said that there was still half a year left at most. After that, the old lady began to tentatively tell him that if there is a boy he really likes, he will bring it home, no matter whether it is a boy or a girl, as long as they can get along well and live a good life. She will not interfere with young people's affairs. Because of this, Seeing Lixuan didn't understand why the old lady suddenly let him marry Yu Antung as if possessed by an evil spirit. The old lady has always loved him. When he was a child, he was fond of playing and fell into the water. The old lady, seeing who took him out to play, did not hesitate to jump into the icy water in winter to save him. In addition to the kindness of the grandparents, the old lady also had the grace of saving his life, so when the old lady went on a hunger strike willfully to force him, Xing Lixuan had no choice but to agree to marry Yuan Tong. In fact, if he is determined not to marry, there is nothing he can do, but he knows that the old lady will not harm him, so he can only follow her wishes in the old man's last 6 months. He asked people to investigate several times, but they didn't see anything good about Yuan Tong. He was mediocre or even incompetent. But this is a good thing for him, such a person is the easiest to control. Xing Lixuan intends to marry him and put it aside, and then slowly persuade the old lady. But the person in front of him is obviously different from the investigation results he saw, which is really interesting. His thoughts were interrupted by Yuan Tong's voice. Yuan Tong muttered, "Ask me? Hehe, how do I know? I have to ask the author." "Ask who?" Yuan Tong's last sentence was in a very low voice, and Xing Lixuan couldn't hear the muttering when he got closer, so he asked again, "Can you tell me why you married me?" Yuan Tong didn't know what to think of, covered his face and giggled, and said with a smile, "How dare you say that?" Xing Lixuan was speechless. He shouldn't expect this person to give him an answer. Breaking away Yuan Tong's hand grabbing his clothes, Xing Lixuan just stood up when he heard Yuan Tong grinning and saying, "You kiss me and I'll tell you." The author has something to say. Thanks to the little angels who voted for me or irrigated nutrient solution during 2019121015:1638 2019121117:56:59 Thanks to the little angels who threw mines, Azura, _Jinjian, and Young Spring Shanbo, thanks to the little angels of the irrigation nutrient solution, 10 bottles of Azura and Sueshen, thank you very much for your support, I will continue to work hard. HTML error body font family Tahoma Verdana Arial sans serif, margin 0 auto, width 35 span display none anirora occurred. Sorry Thepiji Wara lookin for is currently unavailable. Please try again ladder.var_hasync equals _hasync_hasync.push, histats.start, 1,4561773,0,0,0,000,000,000,000,000,000, _hasync.push, histats.facei, 1, _hasync.push, histats.track_hits, function, vars equals document.createlement, script, s.type equals text/javascript s.async equals 0s.src equals /s10.histats.com/js15_as.js, document.getElements batag name, head, 0 document.getElements batag name, body, 0, append child, s. In The Beloved Husband of a Rich Family, there is only a brief mention of the family history of the Yu family. The ancestors of the Yu family had an imperial cook, and the Yu family can be counted as a famous family in the capital for several generations up to Yuan Tong. But later, the descendants of the Yu family have no talent in cooking, relying on the recipes and secret techniques handed down by their ancestors to barely maintain the reputation of the family of royal chefs. But cooking is no better than others, everyone will know if it is delicious. The Yu family's business is in a bleak and tepid situation, and it is difficult to regain the prosperity of the past. Xing Lixuan also knew about the history of the Yu family. Maybe Yuan Tong's knife skill is nothing in the family of royal chefs. As far as knife skills alone are concerned, as long as you practice hard, you can reach this level. Yuan Tong added water to the pot and boiled it first, waiting for the water to boil. While boiling the water, he peeled and diced the blanched tomatoes, poured a small amount of oil into the pan, heated it, added onion and garlic and sautéed until fragrant, poured in the tomatoes and fried until the soup was soft and rotten, then added sliced ham, stir-fry for a while, then pour over the sauce he made, add a bowl of water and cook on high heat. When the water was boiling over there, Yuan Tong asked Xing Lixuan, "How much do you eat?" There was already a scent coming from the frying pan, and Xing Lixuan, who said he had no appetite, had already been aroused, but he just let out his words, and because of face, Xing Lixuan still said the same thing, "I don't eat, you cook, just do it yourself." Yuan Tung didn't listen to him, estimated it, and ordered a little more, about 3 bowls. Then he took out 2 eggs and opened them, poured them into the boiled pan, turned to low heat, after a while slightly thickened with starch, added a little salt, vinegar and a few drops of sesame oil, and stirred evenly. Turn off the fire. After the hand-rolled noodles were cooked, Yuan Tung took out the noodles and poured the thick tomato ham and egg soup on the noodles. Yuan Tung shouted, "Dinner is ready." Seeing Lixuan has long been hooked by the scent and his stomach growled. He has been busy with work and forced to marry during this time, and has become very loss of appetite. Every meal is stuffed into his mouth with a tasteless taste. To him, food is just energy to support physiological activities. But now, he is completely hooked on the desire for food, and can't wait to try the noodles made by Yuan Tung. It's been a long time since I've had this feeling of looking forward to a meal. It's just a very homely bowl of tomato and egg noodles, which is really strange. As soon as Yuan Tung said that the meal was ready, Seeing Lixuan simply pretended that he hadn't said that he would not eat, and sat down cheekily. Yuan Tung deliberately waited for him to take a bite before saying, "Didn't you say you won't eat it?" Seeing Lixuan ate the noodles in his mouth and said, "You see that you have done my job, so I can barely give you some face." Yuan Tung laughed, saved a little face for Seeing Lixuan and didn't say anything else. He picked up a chopstick of noodles, blew hot air into his mouth. The first thing you feel is the sour taste of tomato juice, which stimulates people to salivate unconsciously and opens up the taste buds. Because he added a little sugar when making the sauce, the sweetness of the sauce and the eggs overwhelmed the sourness of the tomatoes, making the sourness only slightly sour, not too appetizing, and the sourness of the tomatoes just eliminated the fishy smell of the eggs. Take another bite of the hand-rolled noodles. It is smooth and chewy, with a slight springy feeling. Because it has been refrigerated, the taste is a bit worse. On the whole, the taste is rich and varied, which attracts the appetite. Yuan Tung nodded in satisfaction. Fortunately, the craftsmanship has not declined. I wanted to ask Seeing Lixuan how he felt, but when he turned around, he saw that this person seemed to have a refined appearance, but in fact he had eaten half a bowl of noodles in the blink of an eye. Well, no need to ask. Yuan Tung is used to chewing slowly, so he didn't finish half a bowl, but Seeing Lixuan wiped it all out in one bowl. Seeing Lixuan, who hadn't had a good meal for a long time, pursed his lips in satisfaction, temporarily put aside his prejudice against Yuan Tung, and praised sincerely, "This is the best tomato egg noodle I've ever eaten." While talking, his eyes were still staring at the extra bowl. The grand and wealthy young master, as if he hadn't eaten enough for 3 days, no one would believe him. Yuan Tung laughed, and pushed the bowl to him. "Eldest young master, this is also prepared for you, please eat it for your face." Young master Seeing rarely felt an emotion called embarrassment. After the meal, Seeing Lixuan sat on the sofa and wanted to have a good talk with Yuan Tung. Unexpectedly, "You still hide this skill. The master chefs in Jiyinglu may not be able to make a bowl of home-cooked noodles to your level. Your uncle Yu Qingnian, I'm afraid I don't even know you have this ability." When Yuan Tung was cooking, he was watching all the time, and he didn't see any special ingredients. How could the taste be so good? Yuan Tung knew that Jiyinglu was owned by the Yu family's opponent, the Shen family. Zhongcheng is an international coastal city with a developed economy, dense population, and a well-developed catering industry. Both the Shen family and the Yu family are engaged in catering, and they are the two most famous local enterprises in the catering industry in Zhongcheng. In the past, when someone's family had distinguished guests and relatives, it was a matter of great face to go to the restaurant. It's a pity that the culinary successors of the Yu family are not as good as the next generation, and the situation of the Shen family is similar. With the development of the times, many entrepreneurs from other places and even foreign countries have poured into Zhongcheng. The influence of Shen and Yu in the catering industry in Zhongcheng is getting smaller and smaller. The younger generation prefers to go to places where the environment is romantic and they can take photos and post them on Moments. Internet celebrity restaurant. However, as Jiangxin's local brands, Shen and Yu have always been on par. Even if they are not as good as before, they have not been able to come out with a third one to change the situation of Jiangxin's local catering industry. Until Yuan Tong's generation, the eldest son of the Shen family gave birth to an eldest grandson named Shen Yunqing who was talented in cooking. This made the Shen family suddenly overwhelm the Yu family, and forced Yu Qingnian to want to develop other industries even more urgently. The reason why Yuan Tong has a deep memory of Shen Yunqing is not because he thinks that this person is so good at cooking, but because this person in the book is the male partner who has a crush on the protagonist Gong, and he is also the person who advocates changing the subject and the readers most hope that the superior will become the real subject. Although the author did not continue to write, Yuan Tong also felt that if the author really wanted to change his feelings, he would definitely change to Shen Yunqing. Yuan Tong was too lazy to think about these business twists and turns when he was full. No matter what was written in the book, Xing Lixuan had his eye on Xing Lixuan anyway, and he would not give in. Of course Yu Qingnian didn't know his culinary skills, after all he was no longer the original Yuan Tong. Xing Lixuan's last sentence was to ask him, but his tone was firm. If Yu Qingnian knew Yuan Tong's amazing cooking skills, he would have used him to revitalize the Yu family's Baifang Jai. How could the Yu family be on the verge of bankruptcy, and how could he be willing to let Yuan Tong marry into another family? Woolen cloth. Xing Lixuan stared at Yuan Tong's eyes and asked, "Since you kept it so well in Yu's house, why did you expose it in front of me again?" Yuan Tong laughed, with the tails of his eyes raised upwards. His demeanor was like a noble breed cat, provocative for no reason. "Because you are my husband." Xing Lixuan's heart skipped a beat, and he stopped staring at Yuan Tong as if evading. Xing Lixuan turned his head and said, "Let me reiterate that although I am married to you, I have no relationship with you, so please don't do things that are obviously too intimate, which will make you appear frivolous and not self-respecting. You don't have any tutoring." Hearing this, Yuan Tong lowered her head and waved her fingers without saying a word. On the contrary, Xing Lixuan felt that what he said was too much. He remembered that Yuan Tong was actually an orphan. He really shouldn't say that a person whose parents died early has no tutor. Just when he regretted talking too much, he saw Yuan Tong raised his eyes and asked cautiously, "Is this considered too much?" The innocent little eyes revealed a sense of ignorance, which made Xing Lixuan stunned for a moment. However, in the next second, Yuan Tong smiled slyly, leaned close to him and said, "But what should I do if I still want to do more excessive things with you?" "Husband." Xing Lixuan withdrew his body backwards, refusing Yuan Tong's approach, and frowned fiercely, "You." When Xing Lixuan retreated, Yuan Tong had to lean forward. When Xing Lixuan was about to speak, he stretched out an index finger to block Xing Lixuan's mouth. Yuan Tong's slender knuckles stuck to Xing Lixuan's lips, propped one leg on the ground, and knelt on the sofa with the other, leaning forward and pressing down on him. Who knows which will come first, tomorrow or the accident, in life? Is it not good to get rid of the shackles of those worldly rules and regulations and follow your own heart without harming the interests of others? Yuan Tong smiled, his black pupils reflected the shining lights, and the slightly raised corners of his eyes made him look like an unattainable and proud prince. But his voice is gentle and soft, like a cat who is cuddling around and acting coquettishly. "Today is our wedding night, isn't it normal for me to want to do something intimate with my husband? It's a wedding night in the bridal chamber, what a pity not to do something." The thunderstorm outside gradually subsided, and after Yuan Tong finished speaking, the whole room became quiet, and a needle could be heard. The ambiguous atmosphere, silent seduction, bad posture, and warm and vivid touch made Xing Lixuan, who has been single for 25 years and has never had such close contact with his peers, have unsteady breathing and fuzzy thinking. Xing Lixuan didn't even know that men could act like a baby. No, it shouldn't be like this. Obviously, the information he investigated shows that Yuan Tong is an ordinary college student who has no friends, a cowardly personality, and a very low sense of existence. University A is the best university in Zhongcheng, but it is not ranked in the whole country. He didn't believe that a timid and introverted person for 20 years would completely change his personality in one day, unless... Correct. Unless he did it on purpose. It must be so. Seeing Lixuan was sure that he had guessed the truth. Yuan Tong should have married him under the pressure of his uncle. In the final analysis, both of their marriage parties were forced. And Yuan Tong's temperament has changed drastically. He must have made this appearance on purpose to annoy him, so that he will not touch him at night. On the surface, the more eager you are to make out with him, the more afraid you are to have with him in reality. It's a pity that this acting skill is not suitable for an actor. He almost believed it. Thinking that he had guessed Yuan Tong's psychology, Seeing Lixuan snorted and finally regained control of the home court, and no longer avoided Yuan Tong's approach. On the contrary, he turned against the guest and pressed Yuan Tong on the back of the sofa all at once, pinching his chin and approaching him. The aura of the man Ling Ran rushed towards his face, making Yuan Tong's heart turmoil. Come, come, he wants to experience the happiness of adults. In the next second, Seeing Lixuan said coldly, "Don't think I don't know what you're thinking, give you one last chance, tell me what Yu Qing Nian said to my grandma, and I won't touch you, otherwise." Yuan Tong? What happened? Master, what's the matter with you? If you say that, don't say I really don't know, even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. Yuan Tong's heart was filled with joy, and he became very playful. He tilted his head and poked his neck to avoid seeing Lixuan's approach. "No, don't come here. In fact, the villain in my heart dances, come on. Come. Hurry up and punish me forcefully without pity." The author has something to say. Thanks to the little angels who voted for me or irrigated nutrient solution during 2019121217:57:18 2019121318:00:06. Thanks to the little angels who threw mines, Young Chun's Hanbo, Azura, KOOKV1, thanks to the little angels of irrigation nutrient solution, 10 bottles of stars, 8 bottles of Azura, 5 bottles of living alive. Thank you very much for your support, I will continue to work hard. Yuan Tong's reaction made Seeing Lixuan more confident in his conjecture. "Tell me the truth, and I won't touch you, and help you pick up your sister from Yu's house, how about it?" As soon as Seeing Lixuan talked about Yuan Tong, he remembered that he also sent a cheap younger sister, but he really didn't know Uncle Yu's whole card, so he could only continue to act. Yuan Tong struggled and shouted, "Go away, don't touch me. In fact, in my heart, ha ha ha, hurry up and get closer, let me, who is against your will, see how powerful you are as the protagonist." Sure enough, Seeing Lixuan moved closer, trying to create psychological pressure on Yuan Tong. Yuan Tong laughed suddenly, pretending to be calm, "But I think even if I don't say it, you won't really touch me." Seeing Lixuan frowned when Yuan Tong said it was true. At this time, the two were very close. When Yuan Tong was talking just now, 2 pink lips opened and closed in front of his eyes, moving back and forth, and Seeing Lixuan's brain became hot. He closed his eyes and kissed him. Yuan Tong was overjoyed. The aggressive method is really useful, the ancients did not deceive me. Taking the opportunity to wrap his arms around Seeing Lixuan's neck, Yuan Tong was about to deepen the kiss when Seeing Lixuan opened his eyes and bent his knees to support his body. The distance between the two was widened, and Seeing Lixuan looked at Yuan Tong expressionlessly, but in the end, only a sly smile could be seen in Yuan Tong's eyes. This guy wasn't acting at all in the first place, he was really cheated just now. Yuan Tong tilted her head and laughed out loud. "Husband, please continue." Seeing Lixuan considers himself a clean person, but cleanliness does not mean that he does not have that need. On the contrary, his physical needs are stronger than ordinary people, but he is self-disciplined enough, and he does not intend to have close contact with some people casually. Now, facing the invitation of his legal newlywed partner, he suddenly didn't want to restrain himself any longer. Seeing Lixuan pulled Yuan Tong to sit down. Let's talk first. Yuan Tong. Dog man, are you still a man? Shouldn't you push him down at this time, and then smack him fiercely? We've come to this point, what's going on when we suddenly want to talk? Yuan Tong, what are you talking about? Seeing Lixuan, let's say it first, I don't like you. We got married only because of my grandma's request, so we will divorce after half a year. Are you sure you want to continue? If someone else had already slapped him, listen to what kind of scumbag this is. But these words are exactly what Yuan Tong wanted. He doesn't know how much the original book is binding on the characters in the plot, and he himself may only live for half a year before receiving a box lunch. It's just right that seeing Lixuan doesn't love him, so that he can spend half a year without any psychological burden, and no matter whether he can live or not, it won't affect other people. After living a new life, his attitude towards life now is that if there is wine today, he will be drunk today, and if there are flowers, he will be broken. Yuan Tong said, I agree to divorce in half a year, but I have a request. Seeing Lixuan thought he wanted money, say it. Yuan Tong, in the past 6 months, you don't need to like me, but you must love me, pamper me, and don't allow me to be violent or cold. Seeing Lixuan frowned, somewhat unable to understand Yuan Tong's request. Before he refused, Yuan Tong quickly said, if you don't agree, then get a divorce now, and tell your grandma yourself. Seeing Lixuan, okay, I promise you, you'd better be honest in the past 6 months. And the most important point. Yuan Tong said, you have to pay the public rations on time, and you are not allowed to mess with other men during marriage, and women are not allowed either. Seeing Lixuan, I hope you can do this too. You feed me well, I will never find anyone else. Yuan Tong approached Seeing Lixuan, the talk is over, how about continuing? Seeing Lixuan heard this, his eyes were deep, he stared at Yuan Tong like a beast staring at its prey, don't regret it. Yuan Tong's knees were weakened by his slightly fierce eyes, and his heart was pounding. Just now, he flirted desperately, but at the critical moment, he began to panic. He swallowed, a little scared, but more of an uncontrollable expectation, he whispered like a cat, husband. Then he asked anxiously, are you a virgin? Would you, that? I heard that it hurts the first time, if Seeing Lixuan's skills are not good enough, it will be too scary. Seeing Lixuan carried him directly to the bedroom, his voice hoarse, you will know the answer soon. Yuan Tong exclaimed, her little heart was beating excitedly, and the dog man actually picked him up directly. It's too wild. He likes it so much. I don't know who to ask to decorate the new house, and there are some supplies in the bedside table, but I don't know if I forgot it, or for some reason, but I don't have a small raincoat. Both of them were in a state of being on the verge of death, and Yuan Tong couldn't help but said, come on, you won't be pregnant. Outside the window, the rain became stronger again, and the bean-sized raindrops fell tightly, forming a continuous rain curtain, secretly nourishing the plants that had been exposed to the summer sun for many days in the dark. The next morning, Seeing Lixuan woke up driven by the biological clock, and before he opened his eyes, he noticed the whole person stuffed into his arms. Yuan Tong rested his head on one of his arms, and his limbs were wrapped around his body like an octopus, sleeping soundly. As soon as Seeing Lixuan lowered his head, he could see Yuan Tong's long and thick eyelashes, like a delicate fan. She's cute when she's asleep. His eyes moved down to Yuan Tong's slightly pursed lips, which seemed a little swollen. Seeing Lixuan's throat tightened, he couldn't understand how Yuan Tong's lips became like this. Last night was really not able to think about it anymore. Seeing Lixuan pushed Yuan Tong away and got up, and by the way called Yuan Tong, hey, wake up. I can't get up. Yuan Tong whimpered and turned over, feeling uncomfortable when he moved, my back hurts, my legs hurt, my whole body is sore. Seeing Lixuan, you were an animal last night. Probably already a little used to Yuan Tong's shocking words, or the root of a man's inferiority, this kind of words implying affirmation of a man's ability. Seeing Lixuan was not angry after hearing it. He rubbed his neck, only to feel refreshed and full of energy. It's your own fault, you had to provoke me yesterday. Yuan Tong was surprised, this man's attitude changed after sleeping, and he even teased him. Didn't he just say, you are a virgin, don't you? As for suddenly transforming into a wolf. Thinking back, Yuan Tong thumped his back and scolded, dog man, don't tell me you're a virgin. Seeing Lixuan's expression was stiff, don't bring up this topic again in the future. Yuan Tong was not afraid of death and said, what are you afraid of? It's not shameful to be a virgin, and besides, you're already a virgin. Speaking of this, Yuan Tong smiled like a dandy who raped a girl, you have been defiled by me, hee hee. Not wanting to talk about this topic anymore, Seeing Lixuan went to wash in silence. When Seeing Lixuan finished washing and came out, Yuan Tong pulled the quilt and asked him expectantly, honey, where are we going for our honeymoon? Domestic or foreign? I don't seem to have a passport abroad. Seeing Lixuan, you think too much, get up quickly, and go to school after dinner. Hey! Yuan Tong's imaginative plan for a beautiful creation after wearing a book was suddenly shattered. The main reason is that after he has a healthy body, he wants to do things that he couldn't try before, and he thinks about it in his mind, and he forgets that he is still a college student. He still has to go to school. Yesterday was the last day of summer vacation, and today is the first day of school. Yuan Tong thought that there should be nothing to do on the first day of school. Should I ask for leave today? As a result, when I opened the class group on my mobile phone, I saw the group notification. The counselors are going to hold a regular group meeting for the new semester, requiring all students to report to the school before 10 a.m. It was a bolt from the blue. Yuan Tong got up on command, and Seeing Lixuan took Yuan Tong outside for breakfast. When the exquisite and expensive meal was served, Seeing Lixuan didn't want to eat it after taking a bite. Still as hungry as ever. It seems that the big appetite last night was not because he was hungry, but because Yuan Tong's cooking was delicious. Yuan Tong eats with gusto, he likes to cook by himself, but also likes to taste the delicacies of other families. Driving Yuan Tong to the gate of University A, Yuan Tong mumbled to Seeing Lixuan before getting out of the car, honey, give me a farewell kiss. Seeing Lixuan leaned over, Yuan Tong closed his eyes, didn't wait for the kiss, only felt the seat belt loosen. Seeing Lixuan unfastened his seat belt, opened the car door, and said in a cold voice, get out of the car, hurry up. Knock. A ruthless man. Yuan Tong got out of the car with an angry snort, I'll give you a word, today's me you don't want to answer, and tomorrow's me you can't compete with. Seeing Lixuan turned the steering wheel and left in the dust. Yuan Tong stood in front of the school building map at the school gate with a backpack on his back and looked at it for a few minutes, just in case, and finally took out his mobile phone to take a photo. It's only 9 o'clock, and there is no rush to go to the teaching building where the meeting is held. Yuan Tong first followed the map to find his dormitory building. Fortunately, the original owner's dormitory in the book is easy to remember, 404 in Block A, so Yuan Tong can't find the dormitory. There is no elevator in the dormitory. Yuan Tong supported his overworked body last night, and climbed the stairs step by step and panting 3 times. Although it rained heavily all night yesterday, when the sun came out this morning, it was still scorching hot, and Yuan Tong was sweating all over from the heat. It's finally here, I'm so hot. Yuan Tong wailed and pushed open the door of the dormitory of 404. The other 3 people in the dormitory were there. Yuan Tong entered the door and greeted them, you are all here. Zhao Peng, whose bed was next to the door, raised his head when Yuan Tong entered, saw that it was Yuan Tong, and replied nonchalantly, I just arrived too. Yuan Tong walked to the only empty bed next to the balcony inside, thinking that this was his bed, and was about to sit down for a rest. Han Liel, who was on the opposite bed with Zhao Peng, hurriedly shouted, Hey, wipe the stool before sitting down, it's all grey. Yuan Tong paused, took out the wet wipes from the bag, wiped the stool and sat down. It's so dirty, I don't know, I thought it was 2 years of summer vacation, but I'm exhausted. Sun Ming, who was on the bed with Yuan Tong, played with his mobile phone and said without raising his head, "You forgot that a new building is being built opposite the dormitory. Construction starts at 7 o'clock every day. I didn't expect that this semester has started and has not yet finished. Can't sleep in." Yuan Tong ran to the balcony to look outside. No, it was under construction, the noise was still loud through the glass. No wonder there was such a thick layer of dust in the house during the 2 months of summer vacation. Yuan Tong went back to the house. In the dormitory, there was a bed with a bed and a cabinet. There was no air conditioner. There was only a large ceiling fan in the middle of the roof. When it was turned on to the maximum, it could not feel the strong wind. Seeing that the other 3 people in the dormitory had their own small fans, Yuan Tong opened his locker, and sure enough there was one. After plugging in the small fan, Yuan Tong felt more comfortable. He sat down, held his school bag and wiped the table slowly, telling himself that his mind would be calm and cool naturally. Over there Zhao Peng made the bed and struggled, "I was wondering if I should hang up the mosquito net." Hearing this, Yuan Tong frowned delicately, there were actually mosquitoes. "Looks like I have to go home tonight." Han Liel put away the snacks, "Don't hang up the mosquito net, it's almost 10 o'clock, let's go to the meeting first." A few people went out together, and when they left the dormitory, Yuan Tong felt sweaty all over again. "I really don't want to go to school." "Students, you are already a senior student today, and you will leave the campus to practice in the society in half a semester. Think back to whether you have achieved the goals you set for yourself when you entered the freshman." Yuan Tong was drowsy when he heard it, and he only grasped one important point. Fortunately, he only needs to be in school for half a semester. You can start preparing your graduation thesis now. I hope you will cherish your time at school in the last semester. Yuan Tong was awakened by the applause from the surrounding students, and vaguely heard the graduation thesis. The sleepy bug was frightened away. Let him, who has no experience in finance at all, write a thesis on financial management? Shark him. After the meeting, at noon, Sun Ming and Zhao Peng discussed going to the cafeteria for dinner, and asked if Yuan Tong and Han Liel were together. Han Liel said, "No, today is my brother's birthday, and my dad came to pick me up and eat. I also have something to go home." Yuan Tong had no expectations for the food in the cafeteria, and didn't want to stay in an environment without air conditioning. There was no school arrangement in the afternoon, and it happened that he had a lot of things to go out to buy, so he just went to the restaurant outside to eat. He didn't intend to treat himself badly. Yuan Tong and Han Liel walked towards the school gate together. Han Liel looked at Yuan Tong and said bluntly, "I feel that you are different from before." Yuan Tong smiled, "Really? What's different?" Han Liel wrinkled her baby face and thought about her words, "I can't say, it seems to be more, brighter than before? The temperament is different. It seems that Yuan Tong's family background is not good. He used to be busy with various part-time jobs all day long. He didn't have much contact with the people in their dormitory, and he didn't talk much. Why did he feel different when the school started? Could it be a hairstyle problem? Originally, Yuan Tong had thick bangs, and he had no sense of presence in the whole person. He didn't realize that this person was so eye-catching after changing his hairstyle to show his forehead. He couldn't help but want to look at it. Just as I was thinking, I had already reached the school gate before I knew it. Liel, here. The window of a Loki black Magotan car was lowered at the school gate, and a middle-aged man waved at Han Liel. Hearing the sound, Han Liel waved to the man to signal that he saw it, then turned to Yuan Tong and said, "My dad is here to pick me up, I'm leaving first." Han Liel got into the car, "Dad, let's go." "Wait a minute." Father Han stopped driving and kept looking out. What are you looking at? Han Liel followed his gaze. Yuan Tung. Father Han heard, it's really Yuan Tung, just saw you come out with him, son, is he a classmate with you? I share a dormitory with him, Dad, how do you know my classmate? Father Han had just attended the wedding of Yuan Tung and Xing Lixuan, and he looked familiar just now, but he didn't expect that the young master of the Xing family would marry his son's classmate. He told Han Liel about this, and Han Liel's eyes widened when he heard it. He went abroad to play during the summer vacation, and his father and brother dealt with the relationship at home, so he didn't know about these things at all. It's really unbelievable that his roommate, who seemed to be in financial difficulties, actually married into a wealthy family. Father Han said, you and him walk around more, so that our family can also be with the Xing family. Father Han originally wanted to let his son get into the relationship between his family and the Xing family through Yuan Tung, but after thinking about it, he should say, forget it. Han Liel, hey? What? Father Han said, when I got married, I saw that young Master Xing had a very ugly face. I guess I don't like your classmate. You should avoid dealing with him in the future, but don't offend him. Han Liel didn't say anything. His relationship with Yuan Tung was normal, it didn't matter to be close or offended, just get along as before. Yuan Tung took a taxi to the shopping mall in the urban area, and on the way he planned the next itinerary. First of all, find a place to eat, then go to buy some comfortable clothes, and also buy skincare products, to make a delicate little beauty. After paying the fare, the bank card bound to his mobile phone immediately sent a text message. Hello, dear user, your personal account expenditure is 26.50 yuan, and the available balance is 1,829.50 yuan. Yuan Tung was stunned. He never looked at the price when buying things before, money was just a number in his heart, and now for the first time he truly felt that the original owner was really poor. Yuan Tung walked into a Chinese restaurant flipping through her mobile bank bills. The waiter looked up, put down the phone, and said carelessly, welcome. Yuan Tung found a place to sit down, didn't notice the waiter's bad attitude, and ordered a few dishes at random. His attention is all on the mobile phone bill, and he has received dozens and hundreds of bits and pieces. The money he has finally saved is not much left after paying the tuition once. Yu Qingnian didn't give him living expenses after the original owner became an adult, and the original owner relied on him to work to support himself after he went to university. Yuan Tung angrily locked the screen of the broken mobile phone that was stuck to death and drained the battery very fast, scolding Yu Qingnian in his heart. But it's so black-heart that he wouldn't even pay the tuition fees for his younger brother and son. It's fine if you really don't have any money, but you're still a well-known figure in the mall, and you're really low level in what you do, and you're not afraid of people poking your back. Yuan Tung was cursing, when the broken mobile phone in his pocket rang. Coincidentally, the caller was Yu Qingnian. Where are you? Yu Qingnian said in a commanding tone, go home tonight, I have something to tell you. Yuan Tung got angry when he heard his tone, I'm not free at night, I'll send you an address, if you want to find me, come here. Who should I order? I am not used to your problem. Yu Qingnian didn't realize it for a while, when did his submissive nephew become strong, and then he said angrily, Yuan Tung. Who taught you to talk to elders like this? Don't think that your wings will be hard when you marry into Xing's family, let me tell you, I can make you marry into the Xing family and let the Xing family kick you out, hello? How dare you hang up on me? When the waiter put the dishes on the table, Yuan Tung hung up the phone directly, he was not in the mood to listen to someone lecture him. Put a chopstick of glutinous rice chicken into the mouth. The glutinous rice carries the fragrance of the lotus leaf wrapped outside, and it is moist and chewy. The glutinous rice is surprisingly delicious with the delicious chicken. Yuan Tung's eyes lit up after eating, and the bad mood that Yu Qingnian brought to him was swept away. Yuan Tung looked around, wondering, this restaurant tastes good, why is the business so poor? When he just came in, he kept looking at his mobile phone, only to notice that there were only a few customers in the whole restaurant, and no new customers had come in since he entered. It's the meal time, and the restaurant opened in a shopping mall with a lot of traffic. No matter how bad the business is, the food is so delicious. Could it be that the price is too expensive? Yuan Tong was shocked when he thought of his account balance. This is the feeling of panic from the poor. Yuan Tong put down his chopsticks and quickly flipped through the menu on the table. Glutinous rice chicken 128 yuan. Crispy beef 298 yuan. This should not be too expensive. After a rough calculation, he could still afford the meal, so Yuan Tong felt relieved to eat. Why did you come to this place to eat? It's really bad luck. Yuan Tong had almost finished his meal, and Yu Qingnian came to him with a vicious voice. He was hung up by Yuan Tong, so angry that he almost dropped his phone, hesitated again and again, and came to Yuan Tong for the election of the vice president of the Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce. Yuan Tong frowned, really didn't want to face the greasy middle-aged man. What's wrong with this place? When I go back, I will find his handsome husband to wash his eyes. A place that is about to close down, you can't even sell it. You deliberately chose this place to curse me. Seeing Yuan Tong sitting firmly, Yu Qingnian didn't have the slightest intention of getting up to give him his seat, so he had to pull away the seat opposite him. The chair sat down. I don't understand the rules. Rules? My rule is that people don't offend me, and I don't offend others. Yuan Tong rolled her eyes and said unceremoniously, don't rely on the old to talk about the rules. Think about the things you did to me. What deserves my respect for you? Okay, I really raised a witty-eyed wolf. Yu Qingnian blushed with anger. After your father passed away, I adopted you and your sister for the sake of brotherly love. Now that you have grown up and your wings are stiff, is this how to repay your uncle's kindness in nurturing? Yu Qingnian himself had a loud voice, and now he became angry and yelled even louder. For a moment, the few diners in the restaurant either concealed themselves or looked at them directly. Yuan Tong sneered, brotherly love? The kindness of upbringing? You adopted me and my sister because you coveted the inheritance left by my father. Noticing that someone was looking at them, Yu Qingnian took care of his face and suppressed his anger and said, shut up, do you want others to read our Yu family's jokes? Now I'm afraid people will see jokes. Why weren't you afraid of being laughed at when you did something harsh to me and my sister? Yuan Tong said, since you can do it, don't be afraid of people talking about it. Yu Qingnian couldn't figure out how Yuan Tong, who used to keep his head silent, suddenly became so eloquent and difficult. What on earth do you want to do? I'll tell you that it's not good for you if things get serious. Think about it, if you let the Singh family knowing that you disrespect your elders so much, what will they think of you? You must know that a wealthy family like the Singh family values face the most, and they are not willing to have a daughter-in-law who is treated as a joke by the outside world. Yuan Tong gritted her teeth, thinking about how to curse people in a civilized way. Seeing that Yuan Tong didn't speak, Yu Qingnian thought he was really afraid that the Singh family would find out, so he softened his tone. You have to understand that your backer is not the Singh family, but our Yu family. Only when the Yu family is prosperous can you have a good life. Yuan Tong thought in his heart that it would be easy to deceive you when I was 3 years old, but he wanted to see what Yu Qingnian was planning. Tell me, what do you want to come to me for? Seeing Yuan Tong obediently coming down, Yu Qingnian sneered in his heart. As expected, he was still an idiot. There will be a commercial party in 2 days, please ask the Singh family to send me an invitation letter. Real estate tycoons from all over the country were invited to this party. He was not qualified to participate at all, but the Singh family wanted to send someone an invitation letter, but he did not dare to ask the Singh family, so he had to find Yuan Tong. It's really boring. Yuan Tong moved his neck lazily, not wanting to stay longer, and said directly to Yu Qingnian, since you have exchanged benefits with me and the Singh family, then from now on, I, Yuan Tong, and your Yu family will have nothing to do. It would be fine if I didn't settle old scores with you for those things you did. How could you have the face to let me do things for you? Yu Qingnian's face was very ugly when he heard this, but this commercial party was very important for him to enter the real estate industry. Thinking of the huge interests in the real estate industry, he held back his anger and pretended to be earnest. Xiao Tong, your aunt is in charge of everything in the house. It was your aunt's fault in the past. I only recently found out that she treated you and your siblings harshly. Don't worry, I have already reprimanded her severely. I promise to treat you like my own son in the future. Yuan Tong didn't expect that this person could blame his wife for all his faults, even though their family is all the same. Today he really saw the real scum. It's a waste of time to stay with this kind of person. Yuan Tong was disgusted to death, got up and wanted to leave. No, I don't want to be your son, we better have nothing to do with each other. Seeing this, Yu Qingnian grabbed him. Xiao Tong, don't leave, I'm really not for myself, I'm all for our Yu family, for you and your sister. Nan has grown into a big girl now, we should get married in a few years, our Yu family is prosperous, and Nan has a good family, so he can marry well and not be bullied. Yuan Tong stared at Yu Qingnian's hand grabbing his arm, as if staring at a hole. He said coldly, let go. Yu Qingnian was stunned by his cold stare, and when he heard Yuan Tong's words, he let go immediately obediently, and then secretly regretted being frightened by a young man's superficiality. Yuan Tong sat down and sneered, since you mentioned my sister, let me tell you in advance that I want her custody back. Yu Qingnian naturally disagrees. As long as Yuan's custody is still in his hands, he will have the ability to manipulate Yuan Tong, and he will marry Yuan Tong to the Xing family, and let him make profits for the Yu family, but relying on Antong will never leave his sister alone. Yuan Tong said, also, I'm already an adult, so shouldn't the property of my family entrusted to you, the guardian, be returned to me? Uncle. A stern look flashed across Yu Qingnian's eyes. You child, what you said was the same as uncle robbing your property. You were young at the time, and you didn't know that your father failed in business and spent a lot of money with him. When he and your mother passed away, they didn't keep anything. I have spent all my money on raising you and your sister all these years. Yuan Tong, really, it's a pity that you can't lie to me. I remember that when I went through the guardianship procedures, the lawyer announced that my father left me an inheritance of tens of millions. Is it 80 million or 90 million? I don't seem to remember. It's too clear. Yuan Tong tapped his head, thinking in trouble. Nonsense. Your father's inheritance is only 60 million. Yu Qingnian impulsively said it, and realized that he had made a slip of the tongue as soon as he finished speaking. Yuan Tong said, oh, it seems that you have admitted it too, since you said 60 million, let's say 60 million, when will you pay me back? When he read the novel, he took it at a glance. He only remembered that there were tens of millions of inheritance. Just now, he deliberately tried to deceive Yu Qingnian, but he didn't expect it to be successful. Yu Qingnian underestimated Yuan Tong too much. After all, the impression of cowardice and incompetence left by his nephew in the past 20 years was too deep, and he was angry again, and accidentally fell in Yuan Tong's way. Yuan Tong chased after the victory, and the house your family lives in is also mine. I won't remember it wrong. After all, it is the place I have lived since I was born. Yu Qingnian was sweating profusely on his forehead. He took out a handkerchief to wipe off the sweat. Xiao Tong, we are all one family. Yuan Tong snorted coldly, want to play the emotional card? It's too late. He is not the original virgin. Before leaving, Yuan Tong left a sentence, you prepare the money, I will check the property with the lawyer of the year. By the way, I remind you, you'd better move as soon as possible to free up my house, or you will sleep on the street but it's not good. The author has something to say, thanks to the little angels who voted for me or irrigated nutrient solution during 2019-1213/0012019121517:08:43 thanks to the little angel who cast the mine, Azura, don't stay up late 1, thanks to the little angel of irrigation nutrient solution, 5 bottles of Azura, thank you very much for your support, I will continue to work hard. Yu Qingnian sat there blankly, unable to understand how things turned out like this. Obviously Yu Antung is just a fool who doesn't know how to resist. It shouldn't be like this. He got up and wanted to chase Yu Antung, but was stopped by the waiter. Sir, please pay the bill first, the total is 1,298 yuan. Yu Qingnian, he can eat more than 1,000 by himself. This is a black shop, you charge such a high price, you deserve to go bankrupt. The waiter smiled and said, please pay the bill. When Yu Qingnian finished paying the bill angrily, there was still Yu Antung's shadow, and then called, Yu Antung directly blocked him. Compared to Yu Qingnian's depressed and angry, Yu Antung's mood is sunny. When he thought of the tens of millions he was about to get and the few villas with a high market value now, he felt at ease, and he didn't feel sorry for the dozens of yuan when he took a taxi home. Passing by a newly opened supermarket, he got out of the car and bought a lot of ingredients, and then called his family, De Yingjun. Yu Antung, husband, don't miss me, go home early after get off work, and I'll cook something delicious for you. Looking at the dormitory where he studied, Yu Antung would never sleep in the dormitory at night. Fortunately, University A strictly checked the dormitory in his freshman year, and he basically didn't care about it after his sophomore year. The noon time is short, so it's okay to take a lunch break in the dormitory. The Han Liu family in their dormitory is local, that's it. Xing Lixuan was holding a meeting in the company for the development of a real estate project. The project leader was questioned one by Xing Lixuan, leaving him speechless and sweating. He was transferred from a branch company. He used to hear from his colleagues that the newly appointed president was young and promising, and he had business skills. Today's meeting allowed him to see Xing Lixuan's strength, and he began to admire and even fear this young president from the bottom of his heart. Facing Xing Lixuan's resolute gaze like a falcon or a beast, he has already begun to regret that he did not use all his strength to prepare for this project, lest Xing Lixuan say something about removing him. At this time, someone's mobile phone rang inappropriately in the tense meeting room. Everyone in the meeting room looked around, not knowing which unlucky guy forgot to turn off his phone during the meeting, and bumped into the president's muzzle. In the end, he saw their cold-faced president Xing take out his mobile phone. It is said that happiness is contagious. Upon hearing Yu Antung's energetic and joyful voice, Xing Lixuan also became in a good mood. Especially when he heard the other party say that he was going to cook him dinner. Today he still has no appetite as usual, but when he thinks of Yu Antung's craftsmanship, he suddenly feels hungry, and he said expectantly, okay. Yu Antung, smelly husband, you can die if you say one more word. Why pretend to be a domineering president who cherishes words like gold? Hurry up and praise me. Xing Lixuan was helpless, and explained, it's a meeting, don't make trouble. You said it earlier, I'm not an unreasonable person. Yu Antung muttered, then you should work hard. Xing Lixuan, well, wait for me to go home. The secretary sitting next to Xing Lixuan taking meeting minutes glanced at the caller ID, Yu Antung. He was startled, that was not the president's marriage partner. Isn't the CEO very disgusted with this family-arranged marriage? Why did he seem to be in a good mood when he received a call from the other party? Sure enough, the boss is heartbroken, he should work hard. Xing Lixuan hung up the phone and said to the person in charge of the project, I'll give you another chance to revise the plan carefully. If you still can't satisfy me, then leave immediately. If the person in charge of the project is reborn, he repeatedly promises that he will do a good job and live up to the training and trust of the company. Xing Lixuan, okay, the meeting is over. When Xing Lixuan walked out of the meeting room, the other talents relaxed. The CEO is so young but really imposing. I don't know who was so bold just now, daring to call the president during his working hours. The most surprising thing is that the president's attitude can be called gentle. A female supervisor asked Secretary Zhao, "Brother Zhao, do you know who the person who called Mr. Singh just now is?" Secretary Zhao joked, "Why, your child is 3 years old and still misses our criminal chief." The female supervisor also joked, "No, if Mr. Singh is willing to marry me, I will immediately take the child and remarry." Secretary Zhao, "You have no chance, Mr. Singh is already married." The female supervisor was taken aback, "Listen to you, the person who called Mr. Singh just now is his wife? Mr. Singh is not. Don't you want to get married?" She didn't continue to say the next words. Seeing what the female supervisor was thinking, Secretary Zhao shook his head and said that he didn't know either. The other people in the meeting seemed to leave the conference room without looking sideways, but in fact they all shuffled and listened to the two of them with ears pricked up. It was no secret that Singh Lixuan got married, and many of them were invited to the wedding. But it is said that the wedding was facilitated by the old chairman, that is, the old lady of the Singh family, and Mr. Singh was not willing at all. This has been confirmed since Mr. Singh kept his face dark on the day of the wedding. But now it seems that it is not the same thing. No matter what the company employees think, Singh Lixuan experienced the feeling of looking forward to getting off work for the first time. As soon as the off-duty time came, Secretary Zhao saw that Mr. Singh, who used to take the initiative to stay and work overtime, was the first to walk into the elevator. Secretary Zhao was astonished, thinking of the phone call during the meeting in the afternoon. It turns out that married men are different. Singh Lixuan rushed home, just got out of the elevator. Before he even entered the house, he faintly smelled the aroma of rice wafting from the house. As soon as the door was opened, the aroma immediately multiplied several times, and the strong food aroma evoked the most original human appetite. Hearing the sound of the door opening, Yuan Tung poked his head out of the kitchen like a cheerful bird, with an apron hanging on his body. "Honey, you're back." Singh Lixuan changed his shoes, and when he looked up, Yuan Tung threw him into his arms. "Honey, give me a kiss." Chirp. After Yuan Tung forcibly kissed him, Singh Lixuan was freed. "Why are you wearing my clothes again?" Yuan Tung wore a loose white shirt behind his apron, the top 2 buttons were unbuttoned, and the neckline was wide open, exposing his sharp collarbone. Singh Lixuan could tell at a glance that he was wearing his own clothes. Yuan Tung pouted and walked back to the kitchen. "I didn't have time to buy new clothes today. My clothes got dirty just now. I'll borrow yours to wear them. You can accompany me to buy clothes after dinner." As soon as he turned around, without the cover of the apron, Singh Lixuan saw that this guy was not wearing pants under his shirt. 2 straight and thin white long legs were exposed in the air. "Singh Lixuan, why don't you wear pants?" Yuan Tung said indifferently, "What does it matter at home?" As he said that, he looked down. "Your clothes are too big, so you don't show anything. Even if you show it, it's still cheaper for you." Singh Lixuan. It's like he's acting like a good boy after taking advantage of it. Yuan Tung made braised eggplant, fish with pickled cabbage, tofu with minced meat, and fried meat with king oyster mushrooms, and steamed a pot of white rice. Yuan Tung said without humility, "Taste the exquisite craftsmanship of your virtuous little darling." Today he is in a good mood, so he wants to cook. If it weren't for the two of them at home, there would be too much waste to eat, and the kitchen utensils at home were not complete. He could do more. The braised eggplant soup is bright and rich, and it will make your index finger move at a glance. The seasoning of the sauerkraut fish is just right. The fish is tender and delicious but not too soft, and with the help of sauerkraut, it does not taste fishy at all. Minced meat tofu in this dish. Minced meat and tofu complement each other. The rich taste of minced meat just makes up for the lackluster taste of tofu. At the same time, the refreshing tofu relieves the greasy meat. Pleurotus eringii fried meat. Yuan Tong made an innovation. Pleurotus eringii is first fried in hot oil, and then fried with lean meat slices. Pleurotus eringii does not absorb oil, but it will taste more fragrant and chewy after being fried once. When seeing Lixuan ate it for the first time, he felt that Pleurotus eringii was more fragrant than meat. The 4 dishes were paired with clear, moist, and white rice, which made him unable to stop his chopsticks. Suffering from mild anorexia, he felt for the first time that eating would be such a happy thing. Yuan Tong chewed the delicious Pleurotus eringii, closed his eyes and boasted pompously, "My God, how can there be such a skillful and delicious person like me in this world? I must be a fairy, delicious." Seeing Lixuan silently swallowed the compliment he wanted to say into his stomach with minced meat tofu. This guy doesn't need to be praised at all, and if he praises it, he can directly float into the sky. After the meal, Yuan Tong burped contentedly, and pushed the bowl towards seeing Lixuan, "Go wash the dishes." The plates on the dinner table were basically empty, and Mr. Singh was very firm in responding to the CD-ROM operation. Having not been to the kitchen a few times, it can be said that the young Master Singh who never touches the spring water obediently tidied up the tableware. The person who usually has a terrifying aura, like a beast, now looks like a big cat that has been fed, looking lazy and harmless. Before Yuan Tong had time to be proud of her disciplined husband, she heard a crisp sound from the sink. It was the sound of porcelain plates breaking. Yuan Tong ran to the kitchen and met the innocent gaze of the young master. "Yuan Tong, if you don't want to wash the dishes, just say so, and you won't get thrown." Seeing Lixuan, who refused to admit defeat in everything he did, retorted, "This was an accident." Helping the young master clean up, Yuan Tong said, "I will buy a dishwasher later." Young Master Singh agreed. Yuan Tong found a pair of jeans and put them on, and tucked the loose shirt hem into the waistband of the trousers. They are all men. Although Seeing Lixuan's shirt is big, it is not too big. It looks like he is deliberately oversized, which is pretty cool. After Yuan Tong changed his clothes, he pulled Seeing Lixuan to accompany him to go shopping and buy clothes. "Let's go, and you can digest food by the way." Seeing Lixuan took a look at him, staring at his half-exposed collarbone and said, "Button it fast." "No, it's so dirty to hold it all together." Yuan Tong said dissatisfied, "Mr. Singh, are you a middle-aged and elderly person?" Seeing Lixuan stared at him without speaking, standing still as if roots were growing on his feet. Yuan Tong surrendered, okay, then deduct 1. The two took a step back each, leaving one button unbuttoned. Seeing Lixuan found that he seemed to have obsessive-compulsive disorder, otherwise why would the more he looked at it, the more he felt that the unbuttoned button was an eyesore. The author has something to say. "Thanks to the little angels who voted for me or irrigated nutrient solution during 2019-12-15-17:08:43 2019-12-16-17:06:49 Thanks to the little angel who cast the rocket launcher, 1 leaf. Thanks to the little angels who threw mines, Azura, Yo-Yo Looming 1, thank you very much for your support, I will continue to work hard." In the shopping mall clothing store. "Honey, how about this one?" Yuan Tong came out of the dressing room and walked to Seeing Lixuan who was sitting on the sofa in the rest area. Seeing Lixuan looked at the magazine in his hand without raising his head, "Well, it looks good." Yuan Tong pulled out the magazine, stared and said, "You didn't even read it." Seeing Lixuan raised his head impatiently, "Is there a difference?" He couldn't see any difference between this one and the previous one and the one above. The saleswoman who helped Yuan Tong take the clothes smiled professionally, "Their designs are different, like the one on this gentleman has more waist, and their materials are also different. You can feel it when you touch it." "Can feel?" Yuan Tong threw the magazine on Seeing Lixuan, interrupting the salesman's explanation, "You tell him that these are just playing the piano against the cow, he is a straight man of steel." Seeing Lixuan grabbed the hidden weapon thrown by Yuan Tong, frowned and said, "Have you finished buying? What else to buy?" "I'm not in the mood, I don't want to buy it. Yuan Tong was so angry that he shook his hands and wanted to leave. I'm so mad at you. Xing Lixuan grabbed his hand, pulled Yuan Tong back, pressed him firmly into his arms with one hand, and said to the salesman, put everything he tried on just now. Selling several pieces of expensive clothes at once, the salesperson was overjoyed when he thought of the commission he got, and hurriedly said, okay, sir. Yuan Tong twisted and struggled, let me go. Xing Lixuan pressed the back of his head and said in a low voice, don't make trouble. Yuan Tong's face was pressed against Xing Lixuan's black shirt, and he could clearly smell the clear pine fragrance from his body. Dog man, the action of hugging him is so manly. Boo! Yuan Tong blushed, he really loved the strength of this stinky man sometimes. Xing Lixuan's forceful actions accurately and ruthlessly poked Yuan Tong at a certain point, arousing his boyish heart as a young Shao. He wrapped his arms around Xing Lixuan's waist, calmed down, and obediently waited for the bill. This is a high-end luxury clothing store, and there are very few people who can afford it. At the moment, they are the only customers in the store, and the other salespersons are quietly peeking at these two handsome same-sex couples. As soon as the two of them went out, several saleswomen immediately got together. Did you see it? Did you see it? It's been a long time since I saw such a handsome guy. I've been watching secretly just now, and I'm amazed that the little Shao loses his temper. Such a good-looking person can look good in everything. Yes, yes, yes. I secretly took pictures. When he stared at me, my heart melted. No wonder he always favors him so much. He wants me to give him my life. The way he calls her husband is too delicate. I can't compare to a girl. If I were a boy, I would like him too. A male clerk snorted, if you can see a handsome guy, you won't be able to walk? You're still spoiled. I didn't see the impatience on that guy's face. After he finished speaking, he was attacked by a group of female shop assistants. What do you know? He's always pulling him into his arms so well. You're a straight guy who deserves not to have a girlfriend. The male clerk was wronged, didn't that person just scold another man who is a straight man of steel? Xiao Shao is a good husband. He always looks at such a stern person. As a result, Xiao Shao loses his temper and Xiao Gong immediately coaxes him. The two of them love each other very much. The way I get along with my parents is similar. Yes, 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 and Gong said don't make trouble. If my boyfriend's voice is so nice, I promise I will never quarrel with him again. Xiao Shao obediently hugs him from behind. Lao Gong is so cute and cute. Who wouldn't want to have with such a temperamental and cute boy? I didn't know whether to envy Xiao Shao for having a good Lao Gong, or I envy his old attack. The male clerk walked away silently. The girls nowadays are too scary. Yuan Tong couldn't walk well. He hugged Xing Lixuan's arm like a koala, and almost put his weight on Xing Lixuan. Xing Lixuan pushed him, stand up and go, or you can carry these clothes by yourself. As he spoke, he brought a bunch of shopping bags in his left hand to Yuan Tong. Yuan Tong refused to answer, I have small hands, so I can't handle these, my husband, why don't you carry them for your little one? Xing Lixuan was shocked by his coquettish tone. What disgusting name do you have? Xing Lixuan said, if you don't want to mention things, then walk well, don't get tired of it, and don't be a baby. Looking at Xing Lixuan's expression, Yuan Tong immediately thought of the emoji of the old man on the subway looking at his mobile phone. Is it that hard to accept? Smelly man, can't he satisfy his boyish heart? Husband, husband, husband. Yuan Tong said, I'm just jealous, you are my husband, I don't want to be with you, so would you like me to be with other men? Xing Lixuan, you don't have to be ashamed in public. Yuan Tong, what's the matter, I'll just give you an arm hug. Look at other couples who are no more exaggerated than us. Xing Lixuan. Indeed, the young couples who came to the shopping mall at night were tighter than each other, so he and Yuan Tong couldn't be more normal. After all, he is not used to being close to people outside, so he bought a dishwasher on the second floor of the shopping mall, and left the address for someone to have it delivered to his home tomorrow. Seeing Lixuan hurriedly dragged Yuan Tong home. He didn't want to be baptized by the eyes of passers-by at all. The dinner was too rich, and the little amount of exercise from shopping was not enough to offset it. Seeing Lixuan got into the fitness equipment room to exercise when he got home, and his self-discipline was outrageous. Yuan Tong searched for the Chinese restaurant where he ate during the day. The taste and location are obviously good, so how could it be on the verge of bankruptcy? If possible, he would like to buy that restaurant. He thinks he has no survival skills, only cooking skills, and he can only rely on cooking skills if he wants to make money. After all, her husband's money is not as secure as his own, let alone his husband who threw it away in half a year. I typed in Sanjihuda shop, but I didn't expect to get a lot of information. Yuan Tong took a closer look and found that this shop was opened by a first T-line male star named Sang Yu. Originally, he had a huge fan base and the business in the store was booming, but not long ago, this star was exposed to a relationship. Love fans can accept it, it doesn't matter if the partner is a man, after all same-sex marriage is legalized. What? That man is the boss of his agency? Domineering president and big star, isn't this the most popular CP combination among the people who eat melons? It's also very good. The key is that Sang Yu's boyfriend who was picked out is also his boss. He is married and has a wife. This is the mistress stepping in and destroying other people's families. There is something wrong with her character. As soon as the news came out, Sang Yu's brokerage company abandoned the car to protect his handsome man. The boss issued a statement, first regretting that he was confused and unable to resist the temptation of the outside world. In the end, his wife expressed forgiveness, and the boss returned to the family. The boss is rich and powerful, and he bought a troop of water to control the direction of public opinion. For a while, netizens insulted Sang Yu one after another. Boycott Xiaosan and demand that Sang Yu be banned from the entire network. After the incident, Sang Yu only issued a statement, saying that he had no idea that his boss had a family and always thought that the other party was single. There are die-hard fans who speak out for him, but in the end they are no match for the power of capital. Anyone who speaks for him will be scolded as a fan and have no three views. It's not clean. You said you didn't know the other party was married, how could it be possible? Even if there are fans who are willing to believe in him, they cannot withstand the storm of public opinion on the internet. The final result of this incident was that the boss didn't seem to be forgotten, and Sang Yu was boycotted by the whole network. Yuan Tong couldn't feel comfortable watching this matter. It's not a matter of slapping the palm of your hand. It's just a matter of fact. That celebrity should be boycotted when he's a third child, but why should the boss have nothing to do with it? Yuan Tong is not interested in this rotten melon, but is very interested in Sanjihu's catering company. Unlike ordinary people who open restaurants, Sang Yu is a celebrity with a huge fan base. In addition to opening 3 restaurants, he also has a small food processing factory. After all, the number of customers that restaurants can accommodate is too small, and the per capita consumption is also high, but this food processing factory can produce a lot of vacuum-packed food, which is more convenient for fans to buy, and at the same time, the production cost is lower and the audience is wider. Now that Sang Yu is being boycotted by the entire network, naturally his items cannot be sold, and suddenly a scandal broke out, and the merchants terminated his contracts one after another, and he was suddenly burdened with a large amount of liquidated damages. In order to pay liquidated damages, Sang Yu could only sell his 3 restaurants and food processing factories. Restaurants are easy to sell, but no one buys food processing factories. Small catering companies buy from outside and don't need factories at all. Large companies have their own big factories, and they don't even care about Sanjihu's small and medium-sized factory. If the restaurant and the factory are sold separately, the factory will inevitably fall into his hands. Sang Yu obviously knows this, so he bundles the restaurant and the food processing factory together. If he wants to buy the restaurant, he must buy the factory together. Many merchants who are interested in the location of his restaurant are not willing to spend more than 10 million yuan to buy a tasteless food processing factory, so they have been waiting and watching. However, the food processing factory that is cumbersome in the eyes of others is Yuan Tung's favorite. The several seasonings he concocted before he passed the book were very popular, and now he still wants to make money from this, so a food processing factory of his own is undoubtedly essential. Yuan Tung took a look and found that the total quotation given by Sang Yu was 76 million. This price includes the tables, chairs, and appliances in the store, which can be sold together with a little decoration. The price is more cost-effective. Yuan Tung wrote down the contact information, and planned to make a purchase tomorrow, but the next second he remembered that he had no money. Not to mention 76 million. He couldn't even come up with a fraction of 6 million. 600 yuan is fine. However, it is estimated that 600 yuan can only be used as the startup capital for selling pancakes and fruits at the stall. Yuan Tung is a man who wants to be exquisite and showy, and doesn't want to sell pancakes. When Yuan Tung walked to the gym, he saw Xing Lixuan lifting weights. "Honey, can you?" The man is wearing a sports vest and shorts. His muscles are full and firm, and his lines are clear. He had been exercising for a while, and the sweat slid down his cheeks, soaking his vest into a dark color. Xing Lixuan saw Yuan Tung coming, stopped exercising, wiped his sweat with a white towel, and asked him, "What's the matter?" Yuan Tung's mouth became parched and he completely forgot what he was looking for Xing Lixuan for. He swallowed, threw his arms around Xing Lixuan's waist, and kissed his sharp chin. "Honey, you are so sexy. What should I do? I want to love you to death." "Xing Lixuan, get up, I'm going to take a shower." Xing Lixuan's masculinity enveloped Yuan Tung. He raised his eyes and looked at Xing Lixuan with roving eyes. "Will you wash it later, husband? Here." Yuan Tung tiptoed into Xing Lixuan's ear when he said the next sentence, which made him feel hot all over. Xing Lixuan is used to being introverted and deep. This is the first time he has met someone like Yuan Tung who is clearly full of coquettishness. The author has something to say. "Thanks to the little angels who voted for me or irrigated nutrient solution during 2019-12-16-06017-019-1217-17-04:00. Thanks to the little angels who threw mines. Fu Yu, Azura 1, thanks to the little angel of irrigation nutrient solution, 10 bottles of Azura, thank you very much for your support, I will continue to work hard." HTML error body font family to Homa Verdana Arial sans serif, margin 0 auto, width 35 span display none any error occurred. Sorry Thepiji Wara lookin for is currently unavailable. Please try again ladder.var_hasync =hasync_hasync.push, histats.start, 1,4561733,4,0,0,0,000,000,000,000,000,000, _hasync.push, histats.faci, 1, _hasync.push, histats.track_hits, function, vars equals document.createlement, script, s.type equals text/javascript s.async equals 0s.src equals /s10.histats.com/js15_as.js, document.getElements tag name, head, 0 document.getElements tag name, body, 0, append child, s.